Hello, everyone, and welcome to the June Cataloging Interest Group. I am Jennifer Weston, facilitator of this fine group. And as always, today's meeting is brought to you by the people whose name are listed at the top of our agenda, the organizing committee, several of whom are here today. It does indeed take an effort. So thanks to everybody who makes time to be here during these calls and to help plan them. Today we don't have a formal agenda. Well, we have a formal agenda. We don't have a formal program. I did want to spend a little time talking about just that kind of thing, is planning programs. Your organizing committee is getting together very soon to actually start looking at planning for the rest of the year. So I want input today on the kinds of programs you would like to see. Talk a little bit about the Evergreen conference for those of you that are able to attend, or if you weren't, let's really just kind of talk about the presentations that were there. Some excellent things. Many of you, again, are here today that provided really great presentations at the Evergreen conference. So thank you all for that. And we are going to have a little time to talk about the MARC editor and the Holdings editor. So I know that we're in various different stages of adopting that, depending on what version you are on. Very interested if there are any kind of showstoppers that are out there that you want to talk about, anything that you want to champion and say, woohoo, this is a very good thing. But I did want to give us time to do that because I know that in the first few months of this year, we looked at specific bugs. We can do that again if we need to today. But I just really do want input from how you are finding working with those tools as they are evolving. And if anything particularly we want to specifically look at, we certainly can. We have a kind of small group today, so if you want to use your microphone, you're certainly encouraged to do so, or we'll monitor chat. Everybody should have the ability to make changes to the notes. It should be an edit document. I don't see anybody here names that look new, but in case you are, this document magically turns into the meeting minutes, which will be posted to the wiki. All right, so let's just kind of get going so we can talk as much as possible about planning a little bit for the year and then celebrating the conference itself. As usual, we have standing item notes on here about the various releases. 315.1 just came out. Elizabeth Davis has made changes to the tabular release notes. I just need to move them over, so I will do that later today and send a note to the list when that's done. So I don't think I have links to the tabular release notes here anymore, but it's available from the wiki. But yeah, so 315.1, 315 is marching on. And all the various others came out at the end of May. I'll just stop there. We've got community demo servers. I don't think we have a 315 demo server. Is anybody else aware of one that we might have? Oh, Elizabeth, you're here. I didn't see your name. Look, I'm talking about you as if you're not here. Yay, Elizabeth's here if you want to say anything about the tabular release notes.
Oh, no, just I keep chipping away at them when they come out. So if I miss anything, let me know.
Thank you so very much.
Yep.
So we'll be on the lookout for a 315 demo server, community server. For now, we do have community servers here on 314 too. So I'll ask about getting that updated now that 315.1 is out, or at least the one that Equinox sponsors. Myself a note. I know that the one that Mobius sponsors is updated as of last bug squashing, and I don't think last bug squashing was on 3. Well, maybe it was. Need to confirm that too. It just helps as we're talking about changes to the screens if you're not yet upgrading to 315. Few people are yet. It helps to have a community server to look at, so I'll investigate. All right. Celebrations, we're going to talk about the Evergreen Conference. I did pop links here to the program descriptions page to say slides for all the programs that were presented are available there, and all of the videos are now up on the Evergreen YouTube channel. Thanks to Rogan and the Outreach Committee, the YouTube channel is now updated, so we will take time and split out the individual videos and link them on that program descriptions page eventually. But for now, you can get to the videos on the YouTube channel. Haven't looked at the catalogers map recently, but I think everybody here has had an opportunity to add to that. Let's see if there's anybody missing here. If you are not yet on the map, simply add your name to the bottom of this list. See if there's anybody I've missed. Oh, yeah, we've got to add one more. All righty, so I'll get that one added. That's really all you have to do to get your name added. To get your location, it is anonymous in that no names, but to get your location added to our cataloging map. And now that the conference has come and gone, I want to be able to share this out because I just think this is so cool. There we are. And hello to Ava again from another continent. So always so glad to have you with us. So I have to scroll a bit to recognize. There we are. There she is. Hello. So that we can show the globe that we just span all the way across the ocean. This is just a fun project. That's all it is for me, but I love to see where you're all located. Hi, which brings us time to Evergreen Library upgrade stage. If anybody sees their organization here and they are not showing the current version, you are encouraged to share and let us know. This is how we, as we're talking through things, if we can see if there are people that have already upgraded to a version and you want to reach out and ask questions, or as we are looking at bugs and different just functionality questions, we can always kind of keep track of where everybody is. So any updates need to be added, please do so. If your name is not listed at all, simply add a new row or drop a note in chat. And Carol or I1 will take care of getting that updated. So anybody want to share? Have you upgraded since the last time we were together? Or share your experiences with whatever version you are on now?
Westchester County recently upgraded to 314, and
Yeah.
so far so good.
That sounds tentative, but hey, I'll take so far so good.
No, so
What
far
can you
so
say?
good. Although our cataloger, and one reason why I wanted to hop in here today is our catalogers are a little kind of, I don't know, they're getting used to the new navigating around the enhanced mark editor.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some hesitance there. So maybe if we're talking about that today, I can take back some
Yep.
suggestions for them.
Yep. And we can also look at any lingering bugs. I'm glad you're here, Lindsay. I really am. That's been the experience that this community has shared when 314 rolled around. There's
All
been
right.
a lot of work done on bugs
Yeah.
already that were filed by this community. And then also, I know that there are others that are in the works even this week. Stephanie's not with us today, but Stephanie from Equinox has worked on quite a few of those, and other people in the community have too. So it's good to have this conversation to highlight the ones that we think are important as people that actually use the tool so we can send that back out to the list. So thank you for being here and bringing that. I didn't catch when you upgraded. I was just making a note for you on the.
Oh, last week. So
Oh,
we
wow.
went live
June.
Thursday the 5th.
Okay. June's good enough, but congratulations. Yeah, the Catalan community is here for you.
Yep, and you're all wonderful people, and reading those bug reports has been eye-opening as a
Mm-hmm.
non-cataloger speaking.
One of the things I'm going to digress because we don't have a nice formal agenda, so I can do that. One of the things we talked about as an interest group, getting together with other interest groups that I wanted to bring back to this one is talking about how the benefit of adding things to Launchpad bugs versus the benefit of adding things to a listserv, just as a cataloging list or the general list, recognizing they're two very different audiences and we need to do both. So it's one of the things the organizing committee here is talking about is that we kind of see that as our role, that if something's in a bug that we just don't think is making it out for community discussion, we need to put a post out to the community discussion to make sure that happens, and vice versa. If we're having conversations like today and on the list that we feel like would really benefit from making it into the documentation for the bugs. So we encourage anybody to do such things. If you see something in a bug that you think needs conversation and it's not getting attention, that a good thing to do is just pop it on the community list because it will spark conversation, no doubt. Anyway, my digression, but it is a good reminder for us that sometimes there is information to be found, but I go days without checking bugs, sometimes weeks. So it's good to kind of be nudged sometimes. Oh, I missed a note. Melissa, you moved to 314 at the end of May. Let's see what kind of glitches you're involved. A few catalogers can't see their items when they do a batch upload. That sucks. So Dale here's working at it. I have full confidence too, but that's new to me. A few catalogers can't see their items when they do a batch upload. Anybody else experience that? All right, we'll check the bug launchpad. I'm sure you have already, Melissa, but I'll follow up with Dale too and see what kind of resolution happens and share with group items when batch upload. Actually, I think I did see that come in from somebody else last week. Now that you say that, it's like you do the batch upload. It says it successfully did anything, but the items just aren't there when you go to the bit
Yeah,
record.
and it's only like it's not everybody. A few of our people can do it and
Oh
see their
gosh.
things, and then some people can't. So it's like it's a view or a workstation. I don't know. Something.
Oh.
It'll be an easy fix.
Hope
Yeah,
so.
and we looked at permissions a little bit, but like it's like people with
Mm,
more permissions are the one who can't. So I don't know. Yeah, but if anybody knows of a permission, maybe there's
Mm-hmm.
something I'm missing. So
Being able to see items. Susan here. Being able to see items. Scoping of permissions a thing too. You're right. So if it's not set to the consortial level, to see your bibs or to add items to a bib. No, it's just a view thing though, isn't it? All right. This might be onto something. I know that if Dale's on it, he'll find a solution. Dale works on the support team here at Equinox. We should invite him to a cataloging meeting, shouldn't we? We should. That'd be great. He is a wizard. And if you don't know Dale, we need to celebrate him. Not because he works for me, because I just think as a human being, he's pretty, not for me. He does not work for me. Not because he works for this company that I work for. He's just an excellent human being in general.
He came to our users conference in Missouri, and it was like a celebrity was there. We were like, Dale's here.
No, I was so excited for him to be able to go. I said, Dale, they love you. He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, no, they really do. People love you. He's just so kind. And not in addition to he knows what he's doing, he's just so kind too. We're having a Dale fan club meeting without him. Tell him. All right. Anything else about upgrades? That's kind of where I stopped going on. Right?
I actually have an issue that is 314 related and sort of cataloging and sort of permissions, so I wasn't quite sure where it might pop in.
That's good.
With the new record buckets, I have found that it does the record buckets, so the edit mark and merge record, well no, merge records is fine, but editing mark is allowed for anybody who has access to a record bucket and totally overrides or doesn't check the fact that they don't have explicit mark permissions, which strikes fear into my soul.
Me too. I saw your message come into the list.
Yeah,
that's
so I just wanted to, I did put in a bug, I forget what it is offhand, but yeah, because that's concerning.
Yeah. We'll find it and add it here. That is very concerning. Very, very concerning. I'll say other people need to test it, but if you're seeing that, it just takes one person seeing it. That makes me nervous enough. Really.
So I don't know if it's me, our configurations, our settings. There seem to be some permissions issues with the record buckets in general. Like there's a whole raft of new bucket permissions that I don't know what they do necessarily. But yeah, the Mark 1 concerns me.
It's always a good time on meetings like this to bring up questions. So let's see. I wanted to hop over to the community because I think 314 is good enough to show that. There they are. But my understanding is that whole host of new permissions, and they're listed in the release notes, is about who can share and view a shared bucket. It sounds like that clearly the permissions got expanded beyond what people wanted.
Yeah, I didn't assign any of them really, so but I also haven't gotten into the finer points of sharing the buckets yet either. Yeah. So I'm sure they're fine, but please don't edit the mark if you're not otherwise allowed to.
That's right. Just don't. We feel like we almost need signage on the staff interface now that says don't do this unless in fear of bodily harm. I need a record bucket. Record bucket. There we are. So yeah, now the permissions here. Do I have? Well, I don't have a bucket. Let's see. We have no buckets. Let's create a quick bucket then. Yeah, you can see all these things that you're able to do. Share in there. New bucket just because I need to be able to have a bucket. Now, it'll let you do all these things to be able to share. In sharing, you can now give people view permission, edit permission, and then you can share with just an individual library. And I think, Carol, you may have demoed this for us 1 or 2 months ago when we were looking at it. But it sounds like these permissions are getting intermingled with, being able to just edit at will. It's All right. We'll find the bug and we will promote the bug because it sounds like that's just a regression. Got caught up in great new functionality. Would be my instinct without doing a lot of testing. Okay, so we need to leave myself a note. Okay, okay. And again, I do think all those permissions are in the release notes, but even if you had turned all of those on or all those off, I don't think it matters, does it?
Yeah, because I turned on some and then when I was testing, I turned them all back off again.
Okay.
So, but I was just primarily or have been primarily focused on the bucket actions.
Yep.
And then once I figured out that, yes, you can batch edit or bulk edit the mark, I just kind of stopped there and had a moment of panic. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The test users do not have any mark edit permissions, nothing at all.
Okay. If I was good at memes, that's where I would put in the little one with the little screamy person. Insert screaming image here. Okay. And Madison found the bug for you. Mm-hmm.
And if it is only a me issue, I am perfectly happy to accept that if somebody can tell me how to fix it.
Yes, I think a lot of people would be happy if we could find somebody that can fix it. So yeah, if somebody else will give that a quick test and then confirm it. And then I will send a note out to the list saying we talked about it today and this is not good. I'm tempted to put a regression bug on there, but I'd like for somebody else to give that a look first. Because regression bugs just are the things that I watch to see if there's something we could do and now it's broken, or this thing worked and now it doesn't anymore. I think those are ones that should and do get a lot of priority review. Okay, yeah, and your notes are really great. Okay.
I've probably got a couple little updates for that too.
Okay. Okay, well then we will revisit it. Like I said, we'll bring it back to the list and hope to bring it back to the general list. All right. It's like today, I hate to keep saying, so is there anything else anybody's found? 314 or up or higher. 314, 315. Scroll back up and see if anybody else has made updates here. Melissa, did I update your? I think you're already updated. Nope. You're on 314 now. All right. Make sure we don't miss anybody else updates. All right. So a lot of 314s. Nice. Carol, do you want to share with the world a CW Mars update?
So we are currently planning to upgrade to 315 in October, the long weekend. Upgrading from 3.7.4. So it's going to be massive. Yeah.
Gonna be massive. Yes, I knew the community would want to be there in solidarity with you. Okay, it's good. Holy jump, Batman! That might be the biggest jump we have witnessed as a community here. There was a pretty big one last year, but takes
there was one a big, yeah. So yeah, now that we've got our item templates, notes, alerts, tags.
Mhm. Yep.
And
Yeah.
I mean, there the changes to the holdings editor that got tied into that. And
Mhm.
yeah, so that
A
was
lot of great work.
one of our big ones. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes. We do have 3.15.0 on our development server right now, and we're going to upgrade to 3.15.2 whenever it gets released so that we can start testing it.
Nice. I can't wait to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, and it's June, yeah. So you've been testing 3.15 for a while, but yeah, just to see it on your system will be very exciting. Man, I'm just imagining all the training and updating that you've got going on. We're
The
here for you.
documentation. The documentation.
Indeed. But now that we can all feel especially, excited for Carol. Anybody else have anything about upgrades before I just scroll on? Because again, we've got time to talk about whatever you want. All right, so it looks like still got 311. I'll check in, see. I think Cool did upgrade in November, so I'll check on some of these that are older that we don't have represented today. All right, moving on to Catalogers Connect. Interest groups are also, if you belong to multiple interest groups, as many of us try to attend multiple interest groups. Interest groups are looking at evaluating their frequency of their meeting schedules. So while I think I have captured what is the next meeting for each of these groups, please check the individual groups and watch for updates. Some interest groups are moving to bi-monthly, some to quarterly. And we had this conversation at Hackfest. I don't know, I know quite a few of you were there at Hackfest at the end of the Evergreen conference, and I've got notes that I'm going to go to here. Might as well do that now. Where we talked a little about the cataloging interest group and how often we want to meet. The organizing committee, when we get together later this month, we're going to talk about this too. Again, I've linked to this document. I'm scrolling too quickly. It's down at the program place there. There's just a little link over to Hackfest. Everybody should have access. These are our notes from coming together as an interest group at the end of the conference. One of the things we talked about, the reason this is coming up is because there are so many different interest groups now, 14, 15, something like that, that people do want to attend more than one. And having so many different meetings, it's hard for people to get to them if we meet monthly. It also takes time to prepare presentations, much like today. We don't really have a program. So some of it we've talked about combining interest groups. We start, for example, working with the new devs group is a natural fit for us, working with the Evergreen admin group, working with the permissions group, working with the reports group. Quite honestly, cataloging just touches so many things that we could create crossover events at any time, really. So we've talked about doing something quarterly at least with the combined presentations. So one of the things we're going to be looking at too as a group. And then also, and one of the things I said I would do is send out a list to the listserv to ask for opinions, but I wanted to do that today. Let me start with the basic question of, regardless of whether we have a program or not, let me start with the basic. Do you like meeting monthly? Do you think there's value in continuing to come together every month? Do you think we would lose something if we went to a bi-monthly? I'll stop there. There are other questions to follow, but let's just start right there. We have no opinions. This is the first time I think there's been no opinions.
Yeah, one thing I did mention, I guess yesterday or in an email was, given that we have so many bugs right now, I think it would be useful to go through them methodically to see what is still valid, what needs to be bumped up. And I know we have done a bit of that in the past, but it's always very rushed because
It is.
there's only so much time.
So, Carol, what would you think about? I'm seeing other people that say
Bi-monthly.
bi-monthly, but if we did every other month, just a bug day, and then that way we leave the what I call the real program days is not being dedicated to bugs. Just every other month we could do reviewing bugs until we run out. I can't finish
Until we
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, until we get all caught up with the bugs.
Because I think the other thing that was mentioned or suggested was a quarterly program.
Yeah. So at least once a quarter we
Yeah.
have a real, a formal presentation.
Yeah.
And that we plan them well enough in advance so they can get on our calendars, and that we know that, that if we take on, what's the real big one we want to take on this year and like it? Regex. If we take on regular expressions, that people just know that's going to happen in August, for example. So we could just get them promoted. All right. I think we'll, like I said, the organizing committee, I owe you a date. I've got that poll is probably just closed or is closing today. Those of you in the organizing committee. So I will finalize that. We'll get back together. That means your organizing committee is meeting this month. So why don't we wait till we have that meeting and then we'll come back. I just wanted to ask anybody that was here if they had strong feelings about continuing monthly, and if we do, changing the nature of them a little bit more, as Carol's suggesting. Because you're right, sometimes we just come together, we're looking at a specific thing and just some specific bugs, which of course we always allow time for if there's something really urgent that needs discussion, but something more methodical, I think, is a really good idea. It doesn't take necessarily planning for, we just start working on the list, which would be helpful too. Why did WebEx just pop up? Okay. Well, thanks for that conversation. Again, I'll just add our notes from the Hackfest over, and when we get together as a group, we'll talk. One of the other things we need to do is, if we're going to have these, if we want to do any kind of crossover with the interest groups, is to reach out and start planning those as well. So I think there's some natural work there, which, actually review of the bugs might even point us to the interest groups that we want to work with sooner rather than later. All right, dropping myself a note. For now, we'll continue with our with our plan to meet in July. I won't change anything unless the interest group decides they want to when we get together later this month, and then you will hear from us. But as of today, we will keep the one July 9th. Is that the second Tuesday? Yeah. Okay. We'll leave this open in case we come back. I did want to share this. I don't remember who said this, but I love the idea of adding sympathetic heat to bugs. It's like it doesn't it doesn't directly affect me, but I can see where it would affect you. So absolutely, I'm going to add heat to that bug. So we should definitely be purveyors of sympathetic heat. We can come back and look at some of those bugs in a moment. Let's sure didn't scroll anything. Okay. So anyway, I was saying about interest groups, watch for changing schedules. There is a new interest group, this Rust working group. I did add it. Rust is a language. That's all I know. If anybody wants to say anything about that, they're welcome to. But I did add, knowing that there's a brand new one, I did add it to the list there. Oh, I do have a note about BibFrame. Galen and I are working on a BibFrame research project, so this will resume later this year. Our study group will start meeting again. It'll probably be in the fall. But this year we mean it. We are going to talk about BibFrame. Any updates or any announcements for any of the interest groups before we move on with the agenda? Announcements, recruitment messages, fun things you're doing.
The admin group is going to be talking about Library of Things next week. So if from an administrative standpoint you like to talk about Library of Things and how they're cataloged,
who doesn't?
Or at least policy-wise, let us know. Join us. And in July, the reports committee is going to be tackling adding some report templates to the Concerto data set so we can test with different kinds of templates. So if you like to write report templates, join us then.
I love that idea, especially now that we were working with a new reporter, because so many of our reports we're having to rewrite. So it'd be fabulous to actually have some in Concerto to point to and know they work.
Yeah, and then the goal is eventually to get them into like stock installation so that you have at least a general something to get you started.
I can say, well, we don't have a timeline. The authorities working group is working on something similar to add authorities who can share their data set. More on that next month. I pull out the working group updates. I don't really know why. I guess that we can always just do updates. Otherwise, necessarily need a special column there, but I'll move that. Okay, so moving along, Launchpad bugs, there are the links that are always there, regression bugs, because it's one of the things I monitor a lot. From a program, I've got a note there. This is where I was going to start talking about the Hackfest, and we can pop over there and look at that. One of these things, and Kate, I think this was your quote, that there's a bug that you've been wanting for years. And I think probably back to Carol's suggestion there, this is a good thing to talk about. Are there bugs you've been wanting for years that we should just highlight, at least once a year, or as a group kind of take it on more methodically and say these are the ones that have really been out there, and they're really kind of quality of life type bugs as far as I'm concerned. And this one, just to share what it is the seeing that subfield queue on the ISBN, which we talk about so much about the problems it can cause. But if it's there, we certainly want to be able to see it. When I say problems it can cause, I mean matching with your when you're trying to match against your subfield A for your ISBNs. But anyway, I see a note here. I did not see that until just now. Carol, it says CW Mars is already using this code in custom template in production. I missed that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure we are.
Mark records come with format and it's not displaying. Right, it does display in the older records. Adds the subfield queue to the information gathered for display in the OPAC.
Well, of course, we're not using the OPAC anymore. So, although I can get to it, so I will have to look at that because, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's been a lot of discussion off and on since 2018. Anyway. And then there's something about it's expressed in the schema.
Oh, yeah, reported by Jason Stevenson.
Yeah.
Look at that. Jason's so awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you want to check in with Jason Stevenson and because this is old now at this point, as far as I'm gonna see what's in this book. Let me stop. All right, newest one was last July when we said it's still an issue. Yeah, and still an issue. We talked about it 2022 in this group. It was still an issue.
So,
yeah, you want to chat with Jason Stevenson?
More details.
I love how Janet said, "Hey, it's working for CW Mars." Well, of course it was, Janet. You have special codes. We miss Janet.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a record and I don't see that it actually.
It drops a note here. And since you're not using it anymore,
well, but I'm in the OPAC because I can sneak in behind the scenes and I'm not sure.
I'm just wondering if he stopped supporting custom code if you're not using it.
Maybe.
All right, now we're just guessing things, but I'll leave that with you.
That's subfield queue to the information gathered for display in the OPAC.
All right, Mary says you'd love to see this fixed. You've been removing queue and connection, leaving the text from that subfield before you load into Evergreen. It'd be nice to not have to. Yep, it would be nice to be able to stop having to do that.
Look at format records. Come with the format information tacked on. Well, it shouldn't be tacked on at the end of subfield A. Format does not display in the record summary, but the format does display for the older records that have it tacked on to the end of subfield A. This branch adds the subfield Q to the information gathered for display in the OPAC. Okay, but then he clicks on a get thing, and I have no idea about get, so I don't know what.
Okay, I'll just leave it with you then, if you don't mind. Seeing what's going on there.
Does anyone have a screenshot that they could add so that I know what it looks like or is supposed to look like? Because I don't see one.
Yeah, I guess we could get. Wait, what is this? She changed it to won't fix. Okay, thanks. Do you just want a screenshot of what it looks like without the fix?
Yes, so that I
we can do that.
Know what it is supposed to look like as opposed to what I'm seeing or what you are complaining about.
Yep, we can do that. My ability to multitask quite like that is no longer present, but we will provide a screenshot.
There's one in the bug, if that will suffice for, it's down, let's see, I think it's in Janet's, one of Janet's.
Janet's would be from CW Mars, though, wouldn't it? Or is that it?
I lost it. Hang on.
Okay. I think
that's the one.
Yep, there you go.
Okay. Okay.
It was number oops.
Yeah.
What a coincidence. I have that title on my desk right now to fix it.
13.
Really?
Yeah.
Number 13.
Okay.
That's creepy. That's very creepy. Okay. Yep, that was meant to be. And for us to talk about it today. Yes, so it's in comment number 13.
Okay. Explain where you're seeing the subfield qualifier not display. Okay, well, I'll look at it more and see if I have any questions, I can add a comment to the.
Okay.
But if people want to look at or send an updated screenshot, because this, of course, was 3 whatever a while ago, what it currently looks like.
And add comments and heat to the bug, of course. And I raise it because it's a good bug to talk about, but also because if there are bugs out there that we've just been waiting for years on that just haven't gotten a lot of momentum lately, it would be good to bring them to this group. Let's see, an example of not showing subfield Q. Let's see. My computer is tired. There's some things. Okay, well, I will just put that in the notes. Thank you. Instead of waiting on my poor computer who is overworked at the moment. There we go. All right. The other thing I wanted to do then here in Hackfest is there are some, this is related to the holdings editor. This is how I was going to segue over. Last thing I wanted to say about really the conference was just to highlight these presentations before we start looking at any more bugs or functionality here. And again, thank you to everybody that presented at the conference. It was a great time. I just wanted to highlight some of these. Carol, I forgot to put, I was going to add the note about the presentation for authorities. I'll do that later too. Just want to let you know I didn't forget that. But here reports, we've got, if you have not worked with a new reporter or if you're just starting to work with a new reporter, this is a good presentation. It was a pre-conference and it talked a little about the history of the evolution of the reporter and where we are now and how it works. So if you haven't yet gotten there, to be able to experiment with a new reporter, you just wish you had a little more time. It really is a really great presentation. And then we've got just our lovely one by Elizabeth, which is just a tradition at this point with baskets, batches, baskets, buckets, oh my. Jennifer Pringle did a great one on stat cats, getting the most out of them. We had quite a few conversations just about cataloging standards, vocabularies. We had a panel about inclusive cataloging, various different vocabularies, and working in these times as it is. Galen and I did present a little one on BibFrame. This is more of a research project that we're working with King County, just about what is the status of BibFrame now, not necessarily a roadmap for fixing things in fixing things is really the wrong word. For integrating things in Evergreen is more about just where we stand in BibFrame development and how libraries have very much not been a part of that conversation. So our results from that research project we're going to continue to publish them. So that was just kind of an intro to that. So if you're thinking this is how to use BibFrame, that's not what it is. So I want to set that expectation, but it is a good start for that conversation about where we go. And we had some really great one on cataloging non-English materials, which is I think going to be a theme for the rest of the year as we look at having to upgrade things like Homosaurus is now in version 4, and we got several which will include Spanish language terms. And then, of course, we had the beloved new features presentation from Ruth and Andrea. If you haven't seen those slides, they are just a lot of fun. Really, they are. It's Puppets in Space. Even if it wasn't about great new features, the slides are a lot of fun. Anybody have anything else from the conference? I did want to make sure just for our records that we keep track of the ones that were related to cataloging, but anything else ideas that were sparked during the conference you want to bring back to this group, even if we don't have time to talk about it now, but you want to make sure that, especially as the organizing committee is getting together, that maybe you want to spend a little more time on as a group. Feel free to drop those in chat or to send them out to the list. We want to make sure if there's anything we want to pick up from those conversations that we do, and we don't let it just be a one-time conversation. At one point, we were working on the wiki to try to bring over all of the conference cataloging related conference presentations. I think at this point we just need to link to all the conferences instead. Set bar a little lower for updating the wiki, but for now, at least they're here on the notes. Okay. So to start the conversation, and I know we've got about 15 minutes here, I did want to look at some of the conversations we had during the Hackfest. These are wish list things to get more granular permissions for the holdings editor. So I wanted to bring this one back to the group too. And again, this is a wish list thing to be able to change some things, but not others on the holdings editor. And we started conversations, and I think Susan was going to add notes from our conversation. Things like, can you just change the shelving location and nothing else? And could we get a permission just for that? Much like the new permission was it last year, to where you could only change a barcode, and that's it. So we talked about a strong preference for being able to do that, and then just kind of some other similar things. And then we talked about item status. So again, I want to bring these bugs and we'll get them on the, actually, I'll just drop it over on the notes now. Anybody have thoughts about the granular? I know that we've talked about them before. I just want to make sure they get in our notes and then we get them posted out at least to new devs to be thinking about some of this work. Because it might be big in scope, might not, who knows, until we ask for people to look at it. And then we talked about item statuses, being able to do a quick change there. Things like being able to customize the status of the marked item as, so that it's easier to do. And Jennifer Pringle provided a little great advice there. We need an Angular item status before you can add individual pop-ups like these. So I don't think we have Angular, meaning the item status screen. Don't think it's been Angularized yet. So right now we have 2 different pop-ups to replace barcodes. So this is a much bigger thing. As we move to Angular Circ, I think this is where, as we are brought in to start testing, it would be really good to look at things like that, all of those action menus. Let's highlight that so I don't miss it. Christy, from the inclusive cataloging session, you're very intrigued by the option of reordering the 200s. Oh, yes, I like that a lot. Where am I going to put that note here? I believe that was in the inclusive one, wasn't it? I'm glad you said that, Christy, because I think some of what we can do, and I know today's rather rushed, but some of what we can do is kind of pull out these and then talk about some of the things we can do now in Evergreen. we'll think about that as we come together as an organizing committee, putting together some ideas for training. It might be that we just look at things that are possible in cataloging, such as, if what does reordering really do for us, and can we do that, and does it require system admin, and what that would look like. So we could even do a little crossover. I'm sorry, I'm digressing a lot today, but I'm trying to think of ways we can also then work with other interest groups on things like that to bring that kind of thing to fruition. Dropping my own notes there. Okay. So back here, did I grab all the notes there? Yeah, we talked about item status. Again, this is probably hanging on Angular Circ. A couple of other things I just want to run by this group is the mark tag permissions. I know that that's one of those things that, we've been talking about for many, many years. And Elaine Hardy, it was one of the big things that was always on our wish list when she would lead those conversations annually, is about really being able to lock down who can touch bib record down to the mark tag. I did want to share that, that this YAUS that Andrea and others, developers, anytime they add a new setting, this YAUS, if you don't know that terminology, yet another organizational unit setting, that's what the acronym is for, we decided we needed another preference. So we can now ask for YAPs. Now the preferences and permissions, that's a permission thing, isn't it? Not preferences. So yet another permission. We're going to be the advocates for YAPs in 2025, 2026. Okay, so anyway, we had a lot of conversations there. We'll revisit them, organize a committee, see if we can put programs around it. If not, I'd like to put together a little summary, and I'll take that on personally, but it'll be in July, about the kinds of things that are, if we don't have wish lists for them yet, kinds of conversations that'll move us into next year. We're planning ahead. One of those things is, as always, we want to focus on documentation for the enhanced mark editor, because goodness knows it changed. And we still have quite a few conversations about that. The holdings editor is also changing, but on purpose, with the changes that happened to the item alerts and notes. And again, I think we demoed that a while back. We can certainly do that again sometime soon, to where it just looks quite a bit different. But in doing that, it allows us to have a lot of extra functionality, as Carol was alluding to, about the move to 315 with working with item tags and alerts. But it also changed the holdings editor. Do we have a way to get to the bugs that we're working on? Hold on. The regression bugs, I was going to see how many of those are mark editor bugs. Okay, there are 116. That's not the way to get there. Well, let's try this a little different. Let's search for them. Anybody's a better searcher than I am? Please help me out there. So mark editor. We'll just give that a shot. Aha, there we are. This is the one, the not saving consistently. This is the big, big, big one. And so, Lindsay, I don't know if you found that one yet to share, just to commiserate the catalogers there, but this is the big one we've been talking about. I was going to say for months, but really it's just been since April about not saving. We've talked a lot about being able to, tab through those fixed fields, but this is really critical if it looks like it's not saving. So if you have not reviewed this one yet, drop it in notes, add heat, add your notes to it. That really just kind of talks about specific tags that it's affecting. So it's not just the fixed fields. And this one is high potential to cause significant data issues. So let's see where we are. I'm going to scroll to the bottom. I haven't looked at it lately. Cool. Found that it was happening in 313. Weird. Yeah, I don't think that helps. Manually entering them. Okay. See what Stephanie asked for. All right. I know that this is just at this point a little bit of rabbit hole stuff, but I want to see what the undo. Stephanie thinks it's also related to this one. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 bugs that are all related to this one. I will check in with Stephanie and see. I know she's not particularly working on any of these today. Kind of see where we are, because I think really big ones like this, when you're losing data, are the ones that concern me the most. To be honest, I think some of the ones about just being able to navigate with a keyboard, as long as I can get in there eventually, there's a workaround. This one is the one that's troublesome to me. Now that I've shared my personal opinion, how about you? What's going on in the Mark Editor world that you want to make sure we highlight? And I say highlight because I'm going to send an update out to the general list. Make a little noise. All right, I see your. Oh, Teresa is cataloging because I don't think that's a bug. I do that all the time. Copy and paste in the different screen. Okay. Teresa, this one loses data. Anything that causes lossiness. Oh, don't apologize, Teresa. We all do it. I think lossiness is a word I just started using from one of the catalogers at KCLS, but I love it. We don't want to lose data. I mean, losing functionality is one thing. That's the one that gets me. All right, shall we take a quick look at the holdings editor? I have a question as I'm doing that. I'm sorry, I am jumping to a different conversation entirely. Does anybody, probably shouldn't do this. Does anybody use the generate barcodes on the holdings editor screen? This is just something I ran into today, and I thought if we don't know how it works, this is probably a good group to find out. I'm scrolling to get back to the communities demo server if you're wondering what I'm doing. I'm going to ask that question while looking at an item, and then we're going to look. Yeah, this is what's really, I'm just taking a point of privilege being able to ask this question, but I don't know how to make this work either. And I'm going to look at Elizabeth's quote. Let me unify that because that's just what I want. Okay, this little sucker there, I can't make it work. And the general notes say that talk to your admin about getting it set up. And that's all. All right. So if anybody knows how to make that work, please message me offline. Or if you know right now, that'd be great. No, sorry, that was just another project I'm working on. Let's look at, what's this bug? Adding subfield puts focus on the wrong box. Oh yeah, that's a new one. So this is actually goes back to 3.13. Oh, I didn't realize we were still seeing things coming out of 3.13. It does have a pull request on it, which is good, which means it's available to be tested. Lindsay, are you testing? I don't know. Nope, you were adding notes. All right. If anybody has the option to be able to have this put on a test server and test it, this would be good. So it looks like we do have a pull request. Let me see if I can get one put out there for us for testing. Grab the name so I'll remember what it is. So Lindsay, lots of good information about things that we're finding wrong, but it is interesting that that one goes back so far. Let me try cataloging real quick too. This is the one, the saving consistent we looked at before. Thanks, Elizabeth. I can't find a setting for generate barcode either. There's one for Vandalay, but it's only for importing. Okay, I was scrolling through this too. All right, I'd hoped to put together a list before today, but a global flag, that's a thought. We're still talking about that generate barcode. Here. All right. Well, we just have a few minutes. Here's what I'd like to do. I would like to follow up with this group on the list after we've had the organizing committee and we start talking about planning programs. I'd also like to come back to visit this. What are just start our good list of Mark editor bugs and holdings editor bugs and just keep them. I'll just link to them from the wiki without actually listing them on the wiki. We'll just start a Google sheet so we can keep track of those. because I think it'll be good as new people start to adopt either upgrade to 314 or 315. It's good to just have these there and say we know these are going on, and then track them as they're fixed. We've done that in times past with some kind of showstopper sort of things. As well, the last big thing was when the holdings editor got angularized. So I feel like we're at that point now too. So I think we can do that. And I thank you for your patience today. I know it was a little not very well organized. I feel like we have so many just conversations that I wanted to have about, the meeting and then preparing for really the kinds of things we want to talk about the rest of the year. But it is nice when we have time to at least look a little bit at the Mark Editor stuff. I'm not rushing the conversation, but that's kind of it as far as what I had hoped to look at. Anything else bug-wise that you want to check while we're all together? I will put together a program for July, so it won't be just about bugs or the conference. I enjoyed the conference. It was great. They did announce conference next year is going to be in person. If you've missed that announcement, that's very exciting. Well, okay, I'm going to stop scrolling because that helps nobody. Let me get out of there. Okay, so my action items, other than starting that list, is I will see if we can get this one posted somewhere for testing. Let me see who's here. Oh, I don't think there's anybody here I can ask to do that. That's okay. I'll find some. And there are several other things I said I would follow up on, which I will do. But that's, I think, probably the biggest one now, other than sending a note out to the list about the meeting schedule in general. And then I will follow up with some of these questions just to prompt more conversation about bugs that we've waited on for a while, bugs that are related to either of the editors, and get us a Launchpad link there so it'll be easier to find them. All right. Anything else? Even just a fun story as I close out some of these. Just there. Holdings editor. This is still 314. Yeah. I'll just pop in for the last minute into the Mark Edit screen. Combo boxes are okay. Elizabeth, let's have it. One last bug for the road. Trying to find a number. Yeah, so I mean, I think the combo boxes are the one thing that I think at some point we just said, okay, we get it. To where if you can't get each individual field identified, we'd rather have nothing at all than having to work through that. So because each one of the positions there in the Illustrator means something different. So if I clear that out together versus, yeah, it's only, if I type, oh gosh, that's, hey, look how far that pops. Right over there. Yeah, puts that big gap in between there. So I just have to know how to go put them down there. All right, there we are. Last bug for today. Ability to require fields. Oh, yes, that's a great wish list. Require fields on the holdings editor. I really like that a lot. So you can't save unless you fill in particular fields, hence making it required. Love that one. Put that on our wish list. Thanks, Elizabeth. What a great way to go out. Positive plan for the future. And I've closed out my notes. I'm just going to drop it down here. There we are. Wish list goes right there. Okay. Oh, it's all pretty and everything. Thank you very much. All right, so we're starting wish list. We're starting a holdings editor, Mark editor list, and then I've got just a couple of updates about scheduling. Okay, that's my marching orders for the next month or so. I wish you all the very best of Junes, and I can't wait till we get together again. Thanks so much to everyone
Thank you.
Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. See you next time.